The wild here doesn't whisper, it roars. Glaciers crack like thunder. Waterfalls carve paths through time. And in the middle of it all, she waits. Motor yacht unbridled. A sanctuary of warmth and refinement in the heart of Alaska's untamed frontier. Bears wander the shoreline. Whales breach on the horizon. Seals nap on drifting ice while you sip champagne on the aft deck. This isn't a cruise, it's a calling, and only the bold will answer. Now booking your next unforgettable charter, yachtunbridled.com or through your preferred charter broker.
Top of the morning, afternoon or evening, folks. It's Captain Liam from Motor Yacht Unbridled. I'm on the bridge here, and I've got the lovely pleasure and honour to speaking to Paula from SageSeas. How are you today, Paula?
I'm really well, thank you.
Excellent. And you're in Palma, Mallorca at the moment?
Yes, yeah, I'm here in Mallorca, so it's early evening here, sun setting. Yeah, this is home.
Yeah, and how's the temperature? Is it starting to drop down for winter?
Yes, it is. It's nice. It's nice. We've got the log fire going now.
What temperature is it outside? Is it like in the 12s or is it that cold?
Yeah, around that during the day, a bit sort of lower in the evening.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good. It's time now. Jeans and jumpers and boots. I'm sick of the hot weather.
Yeah, nice, actually. It's probably one of my favourite places of the world, actually, I've got to admit. Not just from the yachting connection, but just the natural beauty over there.
It is. It's a beautiful island. There's so much to it. You know, there's so much more than people even know.
Yeah.
From the coastline to the mountains. It's
I do love the train trip there. The train trip through the mountains up to the north coast there.
Oh, just so yeah.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
The old tram.
Yeah. Tram. Anyway, tell us about yourself, SageSeas. We discussed yesterday briefly, but I think you've got a really exciting story, and I think what you're doing to help build not only the community of leadership in yachting, but addressing the real issues of yachting. That's the way I see what SageSeas is doing by consulting in different platforms. So tell us about the SageSeas and your journey into creating it.
Okay, well, I was crew for 15 years. Loved it most of the time. So yeah, from a very, very young, naive stewardess to chief stewardess and mum on board. And then when I left yachts, I went land-based and I worked with yacht crew management for another 10 years. So I've been in and around it for 25 years, and I've loved it. But it was in the last few years of the management role that I just sort of saw a gap and a space for support, especially for the leaders, but for all of the crew, and it was top down, bottom up, but support, shoreside support for crew cohesion and for leadership development. So it was a slow evolution, but here we are a couple of years later. And SageSeas, we're a team. Well, there's a few of us, but the core team's 3 of us. And we offer a variety of bespoke, tailor-made packages to either come on board or online, do some crew culture workshops or leadership training or one-to-one coaching. We've got a performance coach, Simon, who's 25 years experience working with like elite sports teams and the NHS.
Yeah.
And we've got a psychotherapist, Claire, who in a past life was a steward SFL. She's fully qualified and has her own practice now as well. So between us, I think we have like a really nice offering of what, a yacht might need. Every yacht's different, isn't it? The program, the captain, the crew dynamic. It's all different. So we do a few different services. Like we could start with an engagement survey and just get like a little pulse check of what's going on board. It's anonymous, so the crew feel comfortable in answering, but the results are put into a nice report so we can just see a little bit what's going on. And like I say, we love doing the live on board workshops. So we do some leadership coaching and we do a really lovely crew culture workshop, which involves the whole crew. And we talk about the drivers and the drainers, and we come up with a culture code for the yacht, but it's developed by the whole crew.
Yeah. Would you say in the last kind of 5-10 years, the reason you've seen that gap is because the yachts are getting bigger. The demand for excellence is getting greater and greater. So I see this lack of training in leadership to be one of the core drivers of the incohesion we find in the industry and the stresses and the abuse. Would that be correct?
I think so. I think it has got more complicated.
Yeah.
Generally, and living with other human beings, 25 years down the line, it is more complicated. I think the generation gap's bigger. The age gap might be the same, but I think the generation gap can be a little bit bigger. And we have even more regulations now than we ever have over safety and qualifications. But there's no regulations, there's no compulsory management training. And I'm not saying there should be, but there needs to be something there for,
Yep.
I think, for everybody. I mean, you could have been a captain for 30 years and you've still got room for improvement. Your crew changes, the dynamic changes. Yeah, and I think as well, like in these leadership roles, some people are just promoted from within the yacht and suddenly find themselves leading a team, but have no management training or people skills or even one-to-one coaching to find out where they're going, where they are, what are their skills, what are their talents, where do the challenges lie for them when they do want to run a team. Well, I think
you go on.
No, I just think it's opening up those lines of communication and offering this kind of bespoke support and training and coaching. And I think it can only be beneficial. We've all got room to be a little bit better, a little bit more often.
Yeah.
So I think to use, there's more and more companies out there doing leadership training, and there's mental health, and that's all brilliant as well. So I think there's a space for this, though, and I think it's realizing that sometimes being in that role can be a little bit isolating if you don't have the confidence or you don't have the connection or you're not speaking to anybody else who does it and is finding the same challenges.
Yeah, well, you talk about culture. I mean, the biggest thing is there's different culture and different generational gaps. Like I'm 47 now and I've been in the industry 25 years, 26 coming up. There's a different generation from myself, an 18-year-old deck crew that are just starting off on their careers. There's a different culture. So I think, when I look at your website, it says it's designed to strengthen leadership, enhance onboard culture, and create a positive, productive team dynamic. And that's exactly what we need. But you're right, we're not trained. There is a new requirement for the STCW personal safety and social responsibility course, which includes abuse, harassment, and bullying. But there's nothing for leadership except a basic helm course. So when you talk about onboard culture, one thing I'm really excited about is doing that little survey, because I always say you don't know what you don't know. So would an onboard survey be something as a captain joining a new program to use your services? Would it be someone starting a season going, let's just see where we're at? And then the heads of department can review the report and then kind of employ your services to kind of bespoke or customize a type of leadership structure?
Yeah, I mean, it can be all of the above, really. I think they're really useful post-season.
Yeah.
For reflection. Let's talk.
But everyone wants to quit and leave, and
yeah, or not, or they've had the best season ever. The thing I'll have to say about these surveys is, I have had a captain say, "Oh, it's opening a can of worms." Actually, it's normally the opposite. There's a lot of really positive feedback, and a lot of the surveys do get shared with the crew, and then they see that 89% of them felt supported by their crew members. It's kind of thing. Yeah, no, it can have a really positive effect. And I think just by giving crew members a voice, an opportunity, like I say, post-season's good, a little bit of reflection. Pre-season's really good, like, where are you? Where do you want to be? We talk a little bit about the onboard dynamic, about your personal well-being, your job satisfaction, and your future. Some people have a very clear set of where they want to be in 3 years' time, and other people are kind of winging it, So just to get it, and if you were new to a program, then it's a really good way of also everyone to get to know each other a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
So, in many different circumstances, we also do leadership profilers, so we can do all the heads of departments and captains on a much more sort of leadership themed profile, and see, where the gaps might be and where the strengths are. Always focusing on the positive too. It's not about picking holes in everything. It's about, there might be a few gaps. Where's the solid foundations?
Yeah.
Who's good at what? Let's put people where they need to be, and let's just build upwards. And it's micro steps. It's not like, oh, we put a board, well done, you're magically all fixed. Yeah, it's a progressive, it's an intuitive leadership as well. We hope that it's not just one onboard survey or workshop and then that's it. It's a continuation and the continued support and the continued development, which we're all capable of, and then.
Well, I read your references and captains of Motor Yacht Lynn and people like that, Captain Alex and Captain Anthony, Captain Alex Whitty as well. I read these references on your webpage and I see it works. So I'm excited to join the team per se and work with the Unbridled program because we've got a great team and I'm blessed to have good heads of department and good crew. But with an industry that continues to demand more and more, we have repeat clients 3-4 years in a row. And every year I get worried because I'm like, how am I going to do better than last year?
Yeah.
How am I going to bring a new level? Because you have to get the best trip ever, every time. So it's difficult. And that's what leads into something I know you're excited about and the sign behind you, the leadership community or the leadership hub. That's something that I think is a real unique opportunity in the industry for people to be part of something at a certain leadership level. If you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, just launched on the 1st of November, but been in my head for over a year and actually there for over a year. I've done a couple of trials, but it's live now. And it came originally, we did a couple of webinars and peer-to-peer sort of workshops. And I realized just how beneficial the members found it when they were in a safe space and they opened up and shared experiences and insights, as well as learning from Simon or whoever was talking. And I just thought it would be so beneficial to everybody if it was just a safe space. It's not an online forum, it's people choose to be there because they've got a certain mindset, and have somewhere where they can, where people, this at the moment is for leaders. So it's captains and pursers and heads of departments. So, there's a general forum and then there's some peer spaces. And then there's an ever-growing resource library on all sorts of subjects that touch on leadership and self-preservation, I call it. You have to lead. It starts with you. So
you got to invest in yourself. If you're not right,
you do.
where's half of the battle that we find as a captain, you mentioned independence. A lot of times I do find extremely lonely because, I'm be vulnerable. My job's, it's not part of the crew. It's not part of the ownership team. It's not part of the broker team. It's not even part of the guests. I sit in this middle world and a lot of captains and heads of department feel this isolation where it's your job's to get blamed for when things go wrong. That's just the reality. So how do you keep everyone at peace and everyone happy? You can't. So where do we go to find support? That's we did one the other day, that forum we did the other day about pause, correct?
Yeah.
Power of
the power of the pause, and that's with Claire.
With Claire, and that really resonated with me, and I really enjoyed it. And I got an opportunity to ask a question and engage. And Claire, as being a psychotherapist, was really, I couldn't imagine a more qualified person in that speaking role. And I got a lot from that. And then I looked at all your resources. So I think you're onto something which is really special that'll help our industry.
I hope so. I really do. I feel like it could be so beneficial. And then the lives especially, I think, are key. Yeah. And we'll have, as we start off, we're committing to at least 2 every month. This will grow. It will be leadership. It'll be member-led as well. So it will evolve as members want it to. What do you want us to talk about? Who would you like us to get in to have a chat with you? But the lives definitely, like I say, the interaction, the safe space, and sometimes it's just feeling validated because it can be isolating. being the leadership on board, you're not necessarily talking to the other leaders of the other departments.
No.
And if you're a purser, you're like the captain, you're in the middle of everybody.
Yeah.
And if you can just sit down and chat with another purser and just bounce a little bit or vent, or do whatever, or have a giggle, but just speak to somebody else who gets it firsthand, and then I think that's going to be, the key to. I do hope people get in there and chat and look at the resources, because they're useful.
I will. That's all. You've got me involved. People who want to find it's SageSeas.net. That's the website,
That's right.
Correct?
Yeah. And there's a community page on the website that you can click on. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the hub, you can. And you can email me, directly. And I would love to show anybody around or talk somebody's ear off about it if they wanted to hear it a little bit more.
Oh, I love it. I'm very blessed to have a connection with you. It's really, really special. It only just happened recently, and I think things happen for a certain reason. Like this thing only started November 1st, and I'm kind of looking for a community that I can reach out to and just, like you're saying, bounce ideas back and forth, because we have all these, on my phone, I've got so many WhatsApp groups and so many WhatsApp communities, but that's almost a distraction, and that's professional resources, and they've got a space. Professional resources have a space, but not a leadership community where you can almost have a conference with people to kind of throw ideas around, talk about some challenges. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly that. And it's a safe space. And as we grow, I can literally just do a pop-up room. I can open a room within the community and say, does anybody want a coffee? Did you see what was on last night? Just it can evolve in many, many ways, but definitely just having the peer-to-peer support and connection and learning not just from us, but from each other. I think that's key.
So we talked about, SageSeas, we talked about the Leadership Hub. What about recognizing crew distress? What does that look like when you kind of have you do these surveys? What is crew distress and crew signs that you see in the industry that people should be looking out for as leaders?
Well, as leaders, I've done the mental health training that are available to the yachts, all of them, and they're really good at sort of tips for that kind of thing. But I think from our side, if you are living and working with people and you're on board with a culture that is a learning culture and is keen to be as open as it can be, obviously, the captain can't divulge everything all of the time.
Yeah.
But if you're in a space where you can feel safe to put up your hand and say, I'm really not sure about this, or I'm not sleeping and I don't know why, or, whatever it could be, if to start off, it would be nice if there was an environment on board where you can speak to people. Yeah. But again, as I've worked now, I continue to work with the same teams, and we had a captain, a whole crew, obviously, who went through a very traumatic experience on board, and one crew member was struggling, and that's when Claire's experience comes in. As her qualified psychotherapist, she's also a clinical hypnotherapist. She works with post-traumatic stress quite a lot, but she's also been yacht crew, so when somebody's telling her about anxiety levels and the fact that they don't feel comfortable or able to speak up within that environment, she gets it. So I think if you can't, and it's impossible to be able to deal with everybody or everything, all the personal stuff that goes on in people's lives. If it can't be done on board, then I know there's other places as well that you can reach out to. And some people you need to speak to, somebody who's a professional talker.
Yeah.
Someone who's trained. But I think to start, just to create that onboard environment where you feel like at least there's somebody on board, and look out if somebody's new, make sure they're feeling part of the pack. Yeah. And if you're more experienced, just look out for the sign. Someone's a bit quiet or gone quiet and they didn't used to be. Just be observant. I know everyone's busy. Yeah. But take the time and look at yourself as well. If you can feel, if you stop and actually think, oh yeah, no, I'm feeling this, and you name it, then already it's half dealt with,
Yeah.
So then you can.
So what are some of those tools? Because you're talking about crew culture, which is teamwork in the end. It's developing
Yeah.
a cohesive team. So what are some of the tools that you kind of recommend to the vessels out there without going through your industry secrets? What are some tools that you bring into vessels that people can use?
Well, collectively for the workshops, we have these discussions. We talk about what are the drivers, what are the things, we have 100 cards all over the place with words on it, and what are the ones that are really going to make this season or the sail of the boat even or whatever, what's going to make it work? And conversely, what's the anti-culture? What are the characteristics or habits that are just not cohesive to our success this season? And let's discuss them. What doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then with the one-to-one coaching, which I also just love.
Yeah.
You've got the individual then who might be leading a team and not feeling like they're doing it at the best of their ability. But then the coaching comes out, and you find out from within them, they find out themselves. So you ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And they say, oh yeah, no, if I did do that more often, so probably would react better. So the one-to-one coaching can help build those key development skills, basically. I think it's all about development and being open to learning, and then it's the little tips like, within the habits, the power of the pause or how to sound more confident when you speak. You can just drop some filler words. Don't say, or, it's your team, they know you. But if you just slow down and maybe don't start your sentence with sorry ever, or do you mind, could you just even, I've spoken to team leaders who, love their team and can't help themselves from just saying, would you mind, could you just, or doing the job themselves because they don't want to ask or they just find it quicker and easier, and it's just stopping that, isn't it? Because your role is to be a team leader and to be authoritative. So, practice. Just drop one filler word that you use a lot and notice the difference on how people hear you. There's a million little tips and tricks. And
it's exciting. And I see the benefit because a lot of us go into a season with a crew, and my goal is always to keep the same crew for the season. That's always when I start seasons, I go, I just want to keep the same crew. That's what I want to do. But I don't know the tools. I'm not professionally trained. Like you're saying, we don't have that experience as a captain. So we learn from experience, but we don't have professional support. So we do a survey, you do kind of a group discussion, and then you start some one-on-one coaching, correct?
Yeah, and like I say, it's not a set pact. It's what works for you. If you're on the other side of the world and it's not convenient to fly us over to do anything in person, then we do the online. We can do a half-day workshop online with 12 to 16 crew members, and it still be beneficial. Or maybe it's just at the moment, it's just the leaders that need that one-to-one coaching. Just a little bit of time for them, just an hour at a time. And then open up the conversations, join the hub, come to the live free workshops.
I think that'll be a good one. I mean, the goal is to support the captains and heads of department to kind of give them the tools they can to maintain that crew retention, because that seems to be one of the biggest challenges, correct?
It is. And I mean, it's key, isn't it? Because it doesn't benefit anybody. It's costly to the owner.
Yeah.
It affects the onboard dynamic. Somebody you're just sharing a cabin with is gone, and that can be upsetting. The guest experience, if you've got a team that knows each other and knows where everything is different with 3 people and you on the interior. And it's just so beneficial if you can just, like you say, at least for the season. But if you keep the team together, it grows together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if you're initiating any kind of program or giving the crew a little bit more than they expected, you're already, on an upward spiral, aren't you? If you're giving them a voice or if you're giving them some extra training or you're giving them the opportunity to develop themselves.
I think more has to be invested in the crew in work time. That's something that I've realized in the last kind of couple of years in the industry. It used to just be, 8 to 5, whatever your hours are, or on charter, 16 hours, work. There's a point where people end up just working for the sake of working, as opposed to cognitively allocating time to do activities that build a team within those work hours. And investing in a company like you, I think, can help that change that onboard training, approach.
Yeah, and that's sort of part of the aspect of the evaluation survey is asking about job satisfaction. How I know nature of yachting. Some jobs are very repetitive.
Yeah.
And if you're leading a team, you want everything in a certain way. But if you can even just give a little bit of autonomy in a role, if somebody can just do something their way or make a suggestion that's listened to, job satisfaction is key. And
True, actually.
ways.
Individual job satisfaction is key. Is that what you're saying as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really informative. What you're saying, I think it resonates to so many people because, you're saying as a leader, as a captain, we're not trained in this. We only learn from experience and learning from conversations like this. I think it would be very helpful to all the captains and heads of department to hear this because we all naturally think we know the way it should be done. That's human behavior,
Yeah.
But if we release ourselves and give people the opportunity to express themselves in their position more, you're saying they'll take more ownership and more responsibility.
Yeah, that as well. And also, you're saying you after your experience, you probably do know very well, and you're probably very intuitive, and you're very experienced. But what it is, it's just saying, as experienced as I am, and as happy as my team is now, and as successful as our charters are, it could be better. I could still learn something tomorrow that makes me a little bit better than I am today. I'm like a open mindset.
That's why I'm here, because I realize this industry, it doesn't, I've done it for so long, and every year gets harder and harder.
It should be getting easier, right?
It should be getting easier. I've done it so, I'm blessed because I love the ocean. I love what I do, and I love nature, and I love showing guests a good time, and I love crew. More than anything about my job is to see crew develop in their individual careers, and 9 times out of 10, it's me doing nothing. It's me actually not micromanaging. It's me not engaging with them. It's me helping them get the tools and be positive to succeed. That's the tool I can give them, is not bother them too much. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. They really try and control the narrative, whereas it's everyone's journey. These crew are beautiful people and they deserve to be given love and respect. And I don't think that's what we do in this industry,
It's all about finding that balance, isn't it? Because if somebody's quite new to it, I think mentorship as much as direction.
Yeah.
People do need it, but it's finding the balance of not micromanaging. And like I say, if somebody feels like they are trusted in their role, then they're likely to do it better than if somebody's telling them every second inch of the way exactly how to do it. And then you just become a robot.
But what do we do, though? And we're brainstorming here, and there's no right answer. The stress is that although we prepared the crew, we're ready for it. When a client comes and gives us horrible experiences sometimes, or, the guests are, abusing alcohol or whatever the guests say to some of the crew. I've heard things, even on the platforms I've worked on, of guests saying to crew that, how do we protect ourselves from that?
That's about building resilience. And again, that comes from becoming a team as well. But self-resilience, I think just knowing who you are, making sure you're in the best place physically, mentally, emotionally.
Just ignore it, basically. Let it go in one ear, out the other.
Well, you let the words drop. You can't control what they're doing and saying. There's nothing you can do, especially if they're paying to be there.
Yeah.
But what you can do is control how you react, and they're just words. They mean nothing to you. These people mean nothing to you.
Yeah.
If you can, you smile. I mean, if it's verging on dangerous or abusive, then that's a whole different thing. And then you get the captain involved.
Yeah.
But it's just building up that, I think, that self-confidence to be able to say, you know what, that's fine. And it's taking that pause, just like we said with Claire last week. It's taking that breath, and it's just, you feel yourself triggered and your blood starts to boil. And then you train yourself pre to the crisis moment to say, actually, 3 breaths, a little note to self, and I can deal with this. It's not.
Yeah, that's where the crew
reacting.
cohesion comes in too. I think having that crew around you that can help you through those challenges, because you're going to face them. That's the reality. The challenges are going to come at you.
It's what happens at the end of the day or at the end of your session. You know, if you sit down with somebody and say, oh my God, you wouldn't believe, and they're like, I know, this morning, same thing, or this happened. And then suddenly it's a thing and you can have a bit of a laugh, or someone will say something that's really clever about it.
Yeah.
It's all about communication. And then it diminishes.
True.
You know?
It's like my brother's a chef and he works in Australia at a restaurant, and now they've got QR codes on the menu. So you can choose your dish and you can modify your dish. And it's going to happen in yachting. It's the same thing. They're going to automate it in a sense. So the person made this menu of a burger, and then they said without buns, without lettuce, he showed me the order that came through. He's a chef, so the digital order that came through with a sprinkle of chili flakes, plus this, minus this, and it was like the one burger had like 15 different modifications to it. And he looked at me and he goes, "What am I doing with my life?" And I think him sharing it, like you're saying, with me was his way to say, "I can only laugh at this. This is ridiculous." Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't even order anything. If you're going to change it that much, what's the point of us putting it on the menu, you know?
Yeah. So then he goes home and cooks for his friends something that he really wants to cook, and they just adore.
Yeah. You know, it was funny. There was one burger with 15 modifications, and it's just like, who goes, they're difficult people in the world. And he's like, they're the ones that complain too.
Who wants that? If you want to, if I go to a restaurant, I want to just be delighted by what they've thought of.
Yeah.
I know what I want. I want what they've created. You know, they know much better than I do.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I mean, I do have to start wrapping it up because I've got to go into a day. We've got a day today in Seattle. But I really want people to understand more about SageSeas and what you're providing the crew culture, because it's designed. It's an onboarding process. It's at the end of the season. It starts with a survey. Then it starts with an onboard exercise, which is what you love the most, where you can go on board the yacht, speak to the group of people, the different departments, and then you start one-to-one coaching, correct?
Yeah. And like I say, it isn't one size fits all. It can be group coaching. It can be heads of department coaching. It can be counterpart coaching. Yeah. It can be what you need. What are the challenges on board? How can we either resolve them or improve them, or, who are the team, and how can we build on it? It's literally just work in progress. Let's see where we are, where we want to be, and then how we get there.
Almost like onboard therapist. It kind of sounds a bit like onboard therapy.
Well, I'm not qualified a therapist. Claire is, though.
Yeah, Claire.
And Simon, he's a performance coach. He's worked with elite sports teams. Knows how to get the best out of, performance teams. And he's worked with the NHS, which, if you want stress, nurses, and they have the same thing with working with teams and shift work. And so Simon's background is incredible, which is why I've got the confidence to offer these services, because I have the knowledge of the yachting, but I have Simon and Claire, as part of the team, and then we've got Katie. If you want a personal trainer, if you want a little workout designed for you in your space, we can do that too. It's just...
And this is applicable to all range of yachts too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
The 30 metre in Palma all the way up to the 120 metre with, Muddy Lind and places like that.
I have literally 100 metre plus and 35 metre. So we go from 4 to 5 crew to 40 to 50.
Fantastic.
It's human, the element.
Yeah, true. Well said. Like we talked earlier, it's not AI. You're not talking to a robot on board yachts yet. We create the problems as human. We have to solve the problems, And I'm sure conflict resolution would come up as a topic, because that generally is something that happens on yachts. Different people don't get on.
Yeah.
How to get past.
And I mean, this is the thing. We're hoping to do all these workshops throughout the year that are free if you're a member, but we will touch on all these different elements, these micro workshops, which people will be able to do that as well. If you wanted an hour session for your team on conflict resolution, or the power of the pause, or reflection, or recognition and motivation, we can just put together just a 1 hour session, which could be done during a working day without too much effect.
Fantastic.
You could have it at lunchtime. Just what do you need? We'll deliver.
Well, I'm sure giving the crew an opportunity to sit down and learn something was, gives them a break from the day. The monotony.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'll have a wonderful festive season coming up. How can people get a hold of you?
So it's sageseas.net, and go to the community page or go anywhere on there and you'll see a little bit more about us. My number's there and the email addresses. And a big thank you to you, Liam, for getting me here and letting me talk on.
Like-minded, yeah. We're like-minded. We've had a lot of experience and we want to help others. And when, in the end of the day, the yachting industry is a result-driven industry, and our clients that support these programs and the owners that have these boats, like Unbridled, they demand a certain thing. And the only way we can get there as crew and as an industry is build on the tools we have. And the tools that you provide, like I'm looking at your Instagram now, the power of the pause, it's just, they're key tools that the industry's not tapping into to become better. So I thank you. I'm really honoured. It's honoured to meet you.
Thank you.
Look forward to working for you and maybe get this survey before our season starts up in Alaska next year.
Brilliant, and maybe see you on the 9th for the
I'll be there. And everyone should join the heads of department. I think people, once they go through SageSeas, I think the Leadership Hub is going to be a very exciting thing for people to join.
I hope so. I'm really looking forward to see the evolution of it. We'll talk this time next year and see where we are.
Exactly. All right. Be blessed. Be safe.
If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month, with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience